Welcome back to the Eat-ology video series. This is video number 5. What we're going to talk about here is something that isn't given a lot of attention in the field of nutrition. And this is what I like to call eating under the influence. And I'm not talking about alcohol, I'm talking about eating under the influence of people. See, everything you've learned so far can be complicated by other people. So people can affect your eat-ology, your eating methodology. And eat-ology can affect your interactions with people. So it's really important that we talk about relationships here. So when I talk about partner, I want you to consider the person in your life that you consume food with most. So it might be your spouse, it might be your son, it might be your roommate, okay, it might be your colleague, but you want to consider that person that you partner with food with, okay? And what you want to do here is realize that if they're not clear about what your eating patterns are, okay, and your new paradigm that you're taking on, it may create some stress and some issues. So there's 2 things I would recommend. Number 1 is to have a heart-to-heart conversation with them. Is to sit down with them and just let them know that I'm on this new program, okay, that's designed to help me with whatever you're suffering with, okay? And it'd be important to talk about, for example, your symptoms. Like talk about the fact that this program is designed to help me with my the fact that I get bloated a lot, okay? Or designed to help me with the fact that I get these digestive symptoms a lot, okay? Or my emotionality related to food. Just have a heart-to-heart conversation with them because then they understand what you're up against. That's number 1. Number 2 is you now need to almost write the rules. We like to call them writing the unwritten rules. And the unwritten rules would be things like explaining to them that, you know, if you're hungry and I'm not hungry, you go ahead and eat. It might be that they'll ask you, are you hungry? You say no, and they go ahead and eat, okay? That's how it affects step 1. When it comes to what to eat, there needs to be some unwritten rules about the fact that if we have different cravings, we go different ways with our meals. If one person has a dominant craving and the other person is in omnivore mode, it doesn't really matter what they eat, then they go with the person who has the craving. Okay, you may have to explain to them that you're going to try to slow down with food. Not try, you're going to be slowing down in the way that you consume your food. When it comes to quantity, it's also important for them to know that you're not going to be consuming as much. You'll be applying Formula 33, or that you're going to put a little bit on your plate instead of putting a whole bunch, right? You may be talking to them about the fact that the water sandwich, and you'll be drinking some water and reducing the quantity of food. So when they're preparing and cooking food, possibly for you, that you're not going to be having as much. Okay? So this step is about relationships, because like I said, relationships can complicate the whole process. When it comes to socializing outside of this one partner, this one key person, there's several factors that you want to take into consideration as well. Okay? So let's look at how eating in groups affects each of the eat-ology steps. So how does it affect eat-ology step 1? When to eat? Well, you're out with a bunch of friends. You're at a social function. You're not hungry. Well, guess what? You might be getting some pressure from people to eat, depending on your culture and the kind of group you have. But you might be getting some pressure to eat. Why are you not eating? What's wrong? Come on, it's good. And in your mind, you're thinking, if I eat this, I'm going to get these negative symptoms because you've done some of the tracking of your experiences before, and you know you don't want to have it. So what do? 1, if you know that there's a social function happening at night, the meal that you have in the morning or prior to the social function, you want to reduce its size, right? So let's say you wake up in the morning and you wake up hungry. You got 2 options, really. You can consume a little bit more food than normal to get you to dinner, to the social function, so you arrive there hungry. Or you have less food than normal, and the next time you get hungry, you have a little bit of food, so that you again arrive hungry. If you know if it's a last minute thing, or you know you're going to show up and you don't want to eat, what you want to do is prep the person who has the strongest hold on you or the strongest influence on you, and give them a call beforehand and say, look, I'm coming, but I'm not going to be eating for whatever reason. Okay? So you want to let them know I'm not feeling so good, or I'm on this program or something. So one is not to get a plate with your name on it. If you show up there and they want to put food on your plate, what you want to be able to control at least is what you eat, right? So you tell them, is it okay if I serve myself, or I'm gonna have this, but I don't want to have that, or you want to try to control what you eat. You want to control the pace at which you eat. You want to slow down big time. This is when you want to be talkative and interested in people and connecting with people, not connecting just with food, so that you're eating slower. And you may even end up leaving food on your plate, which is the next step in terms of how much you eat. So you want to control how much is on that plate, and also determine how much you want to leave on that plate. Okay? I know you might be thinking, I don't want to waste food, but at the same time, you putting that food in your body doesn't help anyone who's starving thousands of miles away. It's not like you're going to ship the food over to them. So leaving it on the plate, you're not going to ship it to them, and you carrying a spare tire around your waist because you don't want to waste food is not going to help. What I want to talk to you about next is how eating in groups affects what you eat. So if you're out at a social function and there's certain foods that you're hungry and you're not sure what to eat, maybe your craving doesn't match what's available, what you need to do is start thinking in large categories. So you want to start thinking, okay, what I'm craving is a sandwich, a roast beef sandwich, okay, with some potatoes and veggies. That's what you're craving. You have that craving, you tap into your intuition, that's what you want your meal to look like. Now you look at the buffet, or you look at the meal you're consuming, and they don't have that. What do? This is when you think in larger categories. You start thinking, okay, roast beef is protein. They don't have beef. They don't have roast beef. They don't have meat, but they do have chicken or fish or shrimp or beans or whatever it is, to try to think in a larger category of is it a protein, a fat, or a carb? Okay? They don't have bread. There's no sandwich options, right? But they do have pasta. So now you end up having your chicken with pasta, protein and carbs, and of course you have a salad or veggies. You got as close as you could to your inner craving. If you got real close, the next time you get hungry, you may not crave that food item necessarily. If the next time you get hungry, you crave that exact food item, you probably didn't hit the craving. Okay? And then again, pay attention to your feedback, and that'll help you adjust as you move forward. Speed feeding. You got to be very careful when you're eating with your partner, when you're eating with people, because people tend to mirror each other. So if we're eating together and you're eating quickly, I may tend to accelerate my pace of eating. So this is when you want to make sure you eat with your non-dominant hand. This is when you want to be able to explain that I'll be eating a lot slower these days if someone asks you why you're eating so slow. Okay? But you want to be able to deflect attention from people, because people can pressure you to eat in certain ways, eat certain foods at certain speeds. How does Eat-ology affect social life? Affect Eat-ology step 4, which is how much you eat. Again, you can get caught up in the moment that you're not even conscious of how you're eating. So hopefully this video alone will help you become more aware of people's influences on you. So slow down when you're with people. Decide how much you want to eat before you even start. I'm going to have a plate. I'm going to have a plate and a half, and that's it. Okay, I'm going to have water to decrease how much I eat with the water sandwich, and that kind of thing. Okay? The next video is, in fact, I'm going to just put it into this video. What I want to talk to you about now is when you make an Eat-ology, when you commit an Eat-ology eating error. So we've talked about all these different eating errors and eating essentials. What happens when you commit an error? I'm not suggesting that just knowing this information is going to prevent you from, having or committing an eating error, because you still are. There's going to be times when you get caught up in the moment with people and you end up overeating. There's going to be times when you end up eating quickly because you're just enjoying yourself. There's going to be times when you end up eating what you don't crave. You eat the wrong thing. There's going to be times where you may eat when you're not hungry. But here's what I want you to try avoiding to do. I call these the 3 R's. I want you to consider these 3 things. 1, the first R is relationship. Not only do you have a relationship with these people that are in your life, these important people in your life, these key players in your life, but you have a relationship with food, right? So like any other relationship, your relationship with food, you need to be patient with, because there's going to be ups and downs, and there's going to be some challenges. So realize it's a relationship and be patient with yourself. That's the first R. The second R is what I like to call reinforcement or reinforce. When you commit an error and you get some negative feedback, let's say you get bloated after eating because you ate too quickly, or you get heartburn because you ate too much, okay? Or you feel guilty because you ate when you weren't hungry. Whatever negative feedback you receive, I would suggest not to cure the feeling. Just let that feeling simmer a little bit, okay? So I'll give you an example. When I was in my marathon running days, if I slept in and didn't run in the morning, I would punish myself. A little extreme, but what I would do is I'd take a freezing cold shower, okay? And then I would fast, and I'd miss meals. Not recommended here, but that's what I was doing. And what I found is that the next time I considered sleeping in, I remembered some of the things that I'd be doing, and so it helped reinforce some of the principles and lessons and lifestyle that I wanted. So if you get heartburn, don't just run and take an antacid right away or a Tums or something, because if you do, it just makes it easy for you next time to do the same thing. Okay, if you feel that the symptoms are unbearable and it's extreme, obviously you're gonna you may not be able to apply what I'm suggesting. The last R is reset. So we got relationship, reinforce the lesson by I always say letting it burn when it comes to heartburn. And number 3 is reset. So if you make a mistake, okay, commit an eating error, and you stay up late with your friends and you end up overindulging, all you got to do the next morning when you wake up is go back to step 1, go back to principle 1, wait for your tummy to talk. And you may not have breakfast. The next time you get hungry might be 12 noon. So you may end up skipping a meal before you get hungry. That's the reset process. Now you've reset to step 1. When you get hungry, you go back to what you crave, tap into your intuition, pay attention to feedback, break any food addiction, look at the negative aspects of food, consume with a non-dominant hand, don't have food in your hand waiting for the next meal, for the next bite, okay? You know how to control how much you eat and how to deflect attention in relationships, all right? So you got it. This is the Eat-ology program. If you stick to the principles, you're going to get the results you want. If you're experiencing challenges, just list them on a piece of paper, and maybe we'll create an area for you on the website or somehow where you can interact with us and we can answer your questions as you go. I wish you the best of luck, and thanks again for participating in the Eat-ology Research Project.